The doorbell chimed, a jarring interruption to the quiet Saturday night. I wasn't expecting anyone. Peeking through the peephole, I saw her, Anna. Her hair was a mess, and she was clutching her arm, tears streaming down her face. But it was the black eye that hit me like a punch to the gut. This wasn't the vibrant, carefree Anna I remembered. This was a broken, desperate version seeking sanctuary. A wave of conflicting emotions washed over me, pity, anger, and a chilling premonition of what was to come. But before I get ahead of myself, let me rewind a bit. Back to when Anna was. Anna. I first met her at a gallery opening. She was a whirlwind of vibrant energy, a stark contrast to my own carefully curated existence. Her laugh was infectious. Her opinions were strong, and she moved with a confidence that both intimidated and intrigued me. I was drawn in, hook, line, and sinker. Looking back, I see the red flags waving like goddamn victory banners. The constant lateness, the casual flakiness, the artistic temperament that justified her chaotic lifestyle. She was always broke. Always between projects. Always needing a little help. But I was blinded by the chase, by the validation of being with someone so seemingly out of my league. I wanted to be her rock, her anchor. Fucking idiot. It was always someone else's fault, too. The landlord was a slumlord. The gallery owner was exploitative. Her family just didn't get her art. She was a goddamn victim in every scenario. And me, being the simp I was, I ate it all up. I defended her. I enabled her. I paid her bills. You know how it is, fellas. You see a damsel in distress. You want to be the knight in shining armor. My buddy Dave tried to warn me once. She's high maintenance, Mark. You're gonna burn out. Another time, Liam said, she seems intense, man. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. But I brushed it off. They just don't understand her, I'd say. They're jealous. Looking back, they probably saw the train wreck coming a mile away. Guys usually do. We just don't want to believe it. Remember that promotion I mentioned? The one that would have put me on track for management? I turned it down. Anna needed me to be around to help with her artistic endeavors. She couldn't possibly handle things on her own. And like a chump, I bought it. My career took a backseat to her supposed dreams. And the resentment started to simmer, unnoticed, beneath the surface. The credit card bills started piling up. Don't worry, babe, I'll pay you back when I sell my next piece, she'd promise. Flashing that winning smile. But the next piece never seemed to sell. Meanwhile, she was dropping hundreds on art supplies, vintage clothes, and organic kombucha. I was working overtime just to keep us afloat, and she had the nerve to complain that I was never around. The irony is almost too much to bear. Then came the comment. We were at some pretentious gallery opening. Surprise, surprise, surrounded by her artist friends. I was making small talk with some guy about the stock market when she pulled me aside. You're so safe, Mark, she whispered, her eyes scanning the room. And honestly, a little boring. It was like a punch to the gut. That was the beginning of the end. I just didn't know it yet. Entered Julian. A sculptor, naturally. Long hair, intense eyes, a brooding artist vibe that I apparently lacked. Anna started spending more and more time with him, collaborating on some groundbreaking project. Don't be jealous, Mark, she'd say. But the late nights, the hushed phone calls, and the way she looked at him, it all screamed upgrade. My gut churned with a suspicion I tried to ignore. Whenever I brought up Julian, she'd roll her eyes. You're being paranoid, Mark. He's just a friend. Or, you're so insecure, it's suffocating. She'd twist my words, make me feel like I was the crazy one. I started questioning my own sanity, wondering if I was just imagining things. Gaslighting 101, and I was a star student. Her Instagram became a carefully curated highlight reel of her artistic journey, filled with photos of her and Julian, looking deep in thought, surrounded by sculptures. Meanwhile, back at home, we were barely speaking. The disconnect between her online persona and the reality of our crumbling relationship was jarring. It was like she was living a completely different life. one where I didn't exist. So, back to that Saturday night. Seeing that black eye. I'm not gonna lie, my first instinct was to protect her. Years of conditioning, I guess. But then the anger kicked in. Anger at her. Anger at myself for being such a goddamn pushover. This safe but boring guy was suddenly supposed to be her savior? The hypocrisy was staggering. I let her in. She launched into her story, a rambling, tearful mess about Julian's artistic intensity and how he didn't mean to hit her. But something didn't add up. The details were fuzzy. Her remorse seemed performative, and she conveniently left out the part where she probably provoked him. I was done being her therapist, her ATM, her doormat. All right, Anna, I said. My voice surprisingly calm. I'm sorry this happened, but you need to leave. She started to protest, but I cut her off. And leave your shoes outside. I'll clean them in the morning. It was a small thing, but it was my small thing. My apartment, my rules. A line in the sand. After she left, I sat there, replaying everything. How many times had I excused her behavior? How many times had I prioritized her needs over my own? I realized I hadn't been safe, but boring. I'd been a goddamn doormat, enabling her worst impulses. And for what? The unpredictable, the guys who treat them like shit. I'd been so busy trying to be the good guy that I'd completely lost myself. Well, fuck that. Time to become a little dangerous, maybe. The constant need for validation, the victim complex, the financial irresponsibility, the gaslighting, the wandering eye, they were all there, staring me in the face the whole time. But I was too busy trying to be the perfect boyfriend to see them for what they were, giant, waving red flags. I swear, I could write a goddamn textbook on female manipulation at this point. I called Dave and Liam. Remember how you guys tried to warn me about Anna? I asked. Yeah, Dave said cautiously. Well, you were right, I admitted. She showed up with a black eye. A long silence followed. Then Liam said, Damn, Mark. You okay? Their validation, their understanding. It meant more than any I love you from Anna ever did. Next came the unpleasant task of assessing the damage. The credit card debt was astronomical. My savings were depleted. I'd essentially funded her artistic journey straight into the ground. But I refused to wallow. I made a plan, got a second job, and started clawing my way back to financial stability. No more handouts. I went back to my boss, groveled a little, and got my old promotion back. Turns out, they hadn't filled the position after all. I threw myself into work, fueled by a potent mix of anger and ambition. It wasn't just about the money. It was about proving to myself that I was capable, that I wasn't just some safe but boring chump. I heard through the grapevine that Anna and Julian's groundbreaking project had fizzled out. Apparently, his artistic intensity extended to other areas, and she was back to playing the victim. Honestly, I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, just indifference. I finally saw her for who she truly was, a user, a manipulator, and a perpetual child. A few months later, I saw her panhandling outside the very gallery where we first met. Julian was nowhere in sight. I didn't stop, didn't offer a dime. It wasn't out of spite, but a quiet acknowledgement of the natural order. Actions have consequences, and she was finally facing hers. Ironic, isn't it? I focused on myself. Hit the gym, started dressing better, even took a salsa dancing class, something Anna would have scoffed at. I was rebuilding myself, brick by brick, into someone stronger, more confident, and definitely less safe. It wasn't about getting revenge. It was about reclaiming my life. I learned a lot from that relationship, mostly about myself. About my need for validation, my willingness to compromise my own happiness, and my blind spot for red flags. It was a painful lesson, but a necessary one. I emerged from the wreckage a more discerning, self-aware man. So, here I am, years later. Still safe, by some standards, I guess. I have a stable career, a comfortable life, and a healthy dose of skepticism when it comes to relationships. And sometimes, When I see a damsel in distress, I just keep walking. What can I say? I learned my lesson. Maybe she should have, too. And that, my friends, is the story of how I became safe but not stupid. Learn from my mistakes, invest in yourselves, and for the love of God, pay attention to the red flags. Because sometimes, the damsel in distress is just trying to sink your goddamn ship. Now, who's up for a beer?